peaceful everything started. But ever since she moved to my table, she has been mean to me. I tried to ignore her, but I couldn't. I can't hold my anger in. Sometimes I can, sometimes I can't. But I could never stand up to her because even when I did, she would always fight back. And nobody would do anything about it. No. They would always have to, we would always have a talk, and they say, okay, we'll tell her, and never anything was done about it. It's kind of sad, actually. If you don't take it that way, fine.
Speaking.
Keep that diploma. I've got a better paper in my bathroom.
Is there any other discussion? Oh, man. Good luck. State your name, please, and your address.
My name is Timothy Freeboard. My address is 5004 Pine Point, Stowe. I'm here today because because of the experience that I've had over the past year. I've brought with me today Mikio Takeda. He's been an exchange student living with me with the YFU program over the course of this last school year. And it has been an extremely wonderful experience for him. I know that the summer before this past school year, I was also a part of this program as studied abroad in Japan for 2 months. And it has recently come to my attention that this school has decided to sever all ties with this program. I am not the first student to be a part of this program. The year before me, another student also went to Japan, and another student in Japan also stayed with him. However, according to the Youth for Understanding program, they have been in contact with Stow Munroe Falls High School and the board over putting in a new Swedish exchange student whose hopeful host family is also here at the meeting. And they have been denied because apparently the school board has decided to enact a policy with the University of Akron to bring in exchange students through this school with the hope of shepherding them through later on to the University of Akron. I am not fully aware of all the details of this plan, but Youth for Understanding has been speaking extensively about this. They have been brick-walled at every opportunity by several members of the board, and
I'm sorry, Mr. Freeburg, that as far as my knowledge, has anybody been contacted
Zero.
by anybody?
Nothing.
I know nothing about it.
Nothing about
Did you
it.
contact anyone here?
we have not contacted anyone here yet. We have been in contact for a very short amount of time. We wanted to bring this to the board's attention as soon as possible.
Well, we need both, you need to get both sides, because what you're hearing from them, you need to talk to our superintendent and our
Principal.
curriculum director, on and on. Those are items that, you know, you're talking about things that aren't true.
And we don't have any knowledge of, honestly. It's the first we've heard of it.
That's first.
But I'm glad you brought it to our attention. But you should probably either speak to the
I can shed a little light on it.
Okay.
And I'm glad you had such a good experience, and I'm glad you had a good time in our school district. The mutual exchange is a wonderful thing. I fully support that. In fact, I had a conversation with your father last summer, and he was, last winter, I think, he was sharing what a wonderful opportunity you even had. And so I wanted to make, I saw the value in this and wanted to make sure it happened, so I'm glad it worked out well. We have not severed any ties with the Youth for Understanding. I'm not sure where that information came from. I have not heard anything about what you mentioned about the University of Akron, although we have a number of partnerships with them. We are not blackballing anybody. I will tell you, I did get 2 messages today from, one was from Youth for Understanding. Give them a call. I haven't had a chance to make that call back. But we're always looking for those opportunities for foreign exchange students. Now, having said that, all we ask is that we know up front so that we can make sure we have room, we can secure a family to make sure that works. What we run into, which becomes a problem, is when, not Youth for Understanding, but a company will find a family and get them excited about having a student, and then they contact us in July, and we've already got 3 foreign exchange students, or 4 So all we ask is that we know up front that we make sure it's a credible, reputable foreign exchange program that we've had success with in the past, hopefully, and we can make those kind of things happen. So you can get a little bit of patience, let me work through the process, and turn out the way you like.
Thank you. I do hope that it all works out in the future, because it seems a pity for students to miss out on such wonderful opportunities for no purpose.
Really great.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else? Sure.
My name is Daniel Holm, and I'm at 2984 Crown Point Drive. And I'd just like to follow up on that because I'm the prospective host who is connected with YFD. Well, I applied, and we would like to have this Swedish student come and stay with us for a year. And my understanding is that after I applied and went through this process, then the next step, which was like last weekend, the next step is to contact the principal of the school, and then, to make sure that you can make it work, and that the student can be accepted there, and the principal turned her down. So that's why we're kind of following up here. I'm not sure of the reasons. There was something about the University of Akron. I know there are connections with Akron. I'm at Penn State University. I'm the chairman of the college program there. We have lots of foreign exchange, and we promote that as an excellent thing. I just hope that my family and I have the opportunity to host this program here.
Thank you.
Jerry Bedell, 4155 Osage. I've been to several meetings where this new renewal that's coming up has been discussed. And I have a question, because I questioned before with the levy that was put on in November about the misinformation, and that's my opinion, that was provided by the levy committee as well as our treasurer. The statement has been made a number of times that this is not a new tax. I would like information as a taxpayer that when you change the amount of the levy, not the dollar amount, but the millage, the cost to me, the taxpayer, and the number of years that you're putting it on for, it is not a renewal. And Mr. Byers, I do not wish my picture taken. Don't take it. So would you explain to me how that you can put this on as not a new tax, as a renewal levy, when you're changing everything about it except the dollar amount?
Mrs. Betty, according to the law, I do not determine the millage. The board has no authority to determine millage. The Summit County Fiscal Office does. What we do, and what the first resolution did, was direct the treasurer to obtain from the county two things: the district's valuation for one, and second, the millage that would generate $7.3 million. This board in the past levy asked for $6.5 million, and as you stated, that dollar amount never changed. The millage is not it's not within our authority. That is certified by the county office, and you need to take that up with them.
As a number of different people that I have talked to, when they hear that it's a renewal, they think, well, I'm paying it anyways, and my dollar amount that I'm paying, it will not change. So if you're telling me that I am going to be paying the same amount,
I'm telling you that this levy will generate $7.3 million annually for the district. The amount that is determined for you as an individual taxpayer to pay depends on how many homes and businesses it takes to generate $7.3 million. Usually you pay less because there are additional homes added, and so it's spread out between more entities.
Your explanation before told me at a meeting, I believe about a month ago, that because of reevaluation, that is why when this levy went by, it was not the amount stated by the levy committee, what it would cost for a $100,000 home. So my question again, which I think you're evading, is why are you saying this is a renewal? Because it's not under the same circumstances. You're changing the years, you're changing the millage because the auditors will create the new millage to collect this amount of money. So in actuality, me as a common taxpayer, I take it for granted that this is not just a renewal, this is an additional tax on taxpayers.
Mrs. Bedio, it generates $7.3 million today.
But you're
And
changing
once it
the
passes,
rules.
it
You're
will
changing the
continue.
rules of this
No,
levy.
we're not.
This is standard practice, Mrs. Bedio. School districts throughout the state of Ohio operate this way. It is a renewal of a tax that is expired. It is not a new tax. I don't know how we can explain
It's
that to
going,
you.
are you going to say that it's going to cost me the same amount of money?
Yep.
Mr. Spangler, would you
Yes.
like to put that in writing?
Of course.
Okay, I'll get it from you.
Very good.
Because
Thank you.
you said the same thing about the levy that just passed. It was supposed to be $16 and change for $100,000 valuation. And I would like you to show me how many people are actually paying
$16 per thousand?
per 100,000
$16 per 100,000?
per month. Yes,
Per month?
yes. That's what you said it would go up.
I didn't say anything about anything.
The levy committee did. All your publicity and everything else said that.
Mrs. Bedio, our publicity was based on information from the Summit County Fiscal Office, and I encourage you to contact them and get your
Then
questions answered.
Mr. Barnes had better get, as chairperson of this levy committee, had better get his facts straight. Thank you.
Proceed with work session.
Okay, a few items just to have a little conversation about. Board recently had an opportunity to take a look at board docs, and we're moving forward with that. There was a session to acquaint us with that. And I don't know if any of you had any thoughts or comments about it, but basically it is a paperless board meeting with the agenda on the screen, so everybody will have a chance to see it. And it'll be up on our website, and there will be viewing rights to that. And we just think a continued effort to be more open and transparent, so people know what's happening. We're moving into this piece, so hopefully this summer we'll be able to unveil that and then make it part of our regular routine.
I personally am very excited about it. As all of us who've been on the board for a number of years know, it is impossible to find anything because the paper is voluminous. And the cost that it takes to reproduce that paper, I know we're going to at least be a little bit more efficient, a little bit more green. It'll be easy to find anything that you might possibly be looking for. So I'm really looking forward to it.
We could have our very own paper drive if we
Yeah.
empty the basement full of all the stuff that we've been
Boxes and boxes.
It's amazing.
The one thing we talked about, that was having the whole program, all the presentations, and then those presentations will also be available online.
Right.
Today, we have to go through a third party, which is the systems, in order to put that on the website. Now it should automatically go out there, and we'll be able to get into it. And hopefully, we'll be able to analyze historical data of these presentations. And then, hoping down the road, we'll get more financial information out there, and the whole financial report that we used to have, that whole book that we can put out there, rather than just the select pages of the notes.
Well, we're also going to save time with the assistants making copies and producing the agenda. It's going to be a much more efficient way to not only produce it, get the information to us that we can approve for your consideration, but also that the time spent on copies, they can be much more productive and efficient doing things. Part 2 is solar panels. We are, again, looking at ways to save dollars for the district. Looking at, we saw a presentation today about energy education savings, which looks at our consumption, what we actually use. On the other end is how we receive. And so Solar Planet is a company we've been talking to, and actually seen some of the school district with 2 different types of panels that they have. One is really inconspicuous. They had a couple elementary buildings with flat roofs, and they had solar panels on those roofs. They are not attached to the roof itself, so there's no penetration. They're not really even noticeable when you drive up to the building. And actually went up on the roof to take a look at these. They also had a field designated that was fenced in with the larger solar panels, which were much more obvious to people as they were driving by. So we will be, hopefully having a presentation by this summer to take a look at, so we can explore that to see if it's another potential cost savings that might be a good fit for us. Item C is the Neola policy second reading that we had our first one complete by the last board meeting, I believe, and that's the voting policy update. And we also have some textbooks adoptions. As you can see, they're part of new business tonight. And we'll be asking the board to renew our membership in the House Schools Council, which of course is a consortium of school districts that negotiates electric rates, gas rates, and all kinds of savings for us. So,
Yes, also, before we get any further, I want to make it public that the meeting that was scheduled for June 29th at noon has been canceled. Notice will go out this week to let you know that that has been rescheduled for June 28th at 6 p.m. at central office. So these items that we're talking about will be action that will be taken at the June regular meeting, June 28th, 6 p.m. at central office. One of the items that annually we bring to you at this time of the year is our renewal for property and fleet insurance. It is effective July 1. So we have met with our insurance agent to review quotes. It is unfortunate that under our renewal terms, they have been materially altered, and we do understand that based on past claims and accidents that we've had, will contribute to an increase in our costs for this upcoming year. Also, for your approval will be the Ohio Schools Council membership. Again, that is effective July 1, so we will bring that to you at this time. We don't have the cost for that, it's billed later, but we do need your action to approve that membership. We did go out, or did you want to talk about nursing services? Okay, that nursing services contract is up, we went out for bid. A recommendation will be at that meeting for you about that. Annually, at the end of the year, the board, through its own policy, does an annual equipment disposal that will be brought for you at the 28th meeting, along with a waste services agreement. Our waste services in the past have been for a 3-year period. We will be recommending that it run from July 1 of 2012 to June 30th of 2015. We did go through the Ohio Schools Council for that bid process, and the bid was awarded to Republic Services. That is our current waste company, and we will continue with them. In addition to that is all of the items that we need to do to close the fiscal year, open the new year. It would include the financials for the month of May, a temporary appropriation resolution for fiscal year 2013. By law, your appropriation resolution is approved by the board and due by October 1. We We do a temporary resolution at this time. That resolution does give the treasurer the authority to spend money over the summer or until we approve a permanent appropriation. So paychecks can continue over the summer. There is a potential for another permanent appropriation resolution for fiscal year 2012. You just voted on one this evening for several changes in terms of what we thought we were going to get and changes in revenues. And unless nothing happens, it's good to go. But from now till June 28th, if there's any changes, I will need to bring to you before we close that resolution. At that time, we also present to you unclaimed stale dated checks. If there are checks that have been issued that were not cashed by certain individuals, that money by law has to go into an unclaimed fund to which it is held and then turned over to the state of Ohio at some point. The return of NSF checks, when we have non-sufficient checks presented to us, our office does do due diligence and try to collect that money. And at some point, we do turn it over to a formal agency for that collection. We try to collect it first. It's actually a savings. Once we turn it over to the formal collection agency, the individual does pay more in addition to the non-sufficient fund. We do get to a point where between my office and that formal agency that we cannot collect those funds. They are unrecoverable, so we write those off the books. A resolution would be brought to you at that meeting if we need to do that. And last but not least are transfers and advances. Advances are necessary in the event that we have federal grant money that we have to spend before we can get it from the government. And if it's in transition by law, we cannot close with the fund in the red. So we will have to advance funds from the general fund to that fund. And then at the opening of the new year, we will return that money, or at such time that the federal government gives us that money, we return it back to the general fund. It may be necessary to do transfers, and the transfers will come from the general fund and go directly to particular funds. For example, our student fee accounts, where we no longer, through House Bill 1, can collect fees from a student that is eligible for a free lunch. We don't get the product free that we pass on to the student that pays the fee. We still had to pay for that out of that fund. So there will be transfers brought to you to bring those line items into the black to cover the cost for anyone that was free and did not have a fee or was eligible for reduced and has a reduced fee. And also, as we mentioned earlier, Mr. Armstrong, thank you for bringing that up. We will be bringing forward for your approval a commitment to utilize the Coca-Cola funds that are sitting in 018 to pay for the asphalt alternate bid for the D zones at the stadium. And that is it for what we have today.
Yeah, talking about the funds and the transfers, 572 fund, which was the ARRA Title I fund, I think it was a 516 fund also.
Yes.
Could we get an update on how we're doing on that, maybe at the next meeting or something, how we spent that money, because we had till September, I believe, which was kind of odd.
September 30th in the grant year.
We're going to do an overall.
Yeah, and how we're moving on it, and what good things we've done with it.
It'll be without the other grants too, we're just going to do it.
Yeah, right, but I mean, particularly that one, because we got the extension, we
Right.
had a timeline of when we had to spend.
And I spoke too soon. We do have one more item for you tonight. Jason Smith is going to present to you. Kurt Casino from Henderson Ripping was not available to be here this evening, and Jason is here to talk to you about replacing a portion of the high school roof that at some point will phase in over 3 years. Jason?
Before Jason, can I have one question?
Sure.
On the waste services, we go with waste Public service, municipal waste management. Just, on behalf of trying to collaborate with the city more. I would just like to understand, maybe the city went with J&J. I'd like to know what their cost would be. I don't know if they bid on it inside the consortium or not. If they did, that's fine. If they didn't, I always want to compare what if the city's got a deal with trash. Let's compare it, make sure, if we get a better deal, great. But if it's not as good as the city has negotiated with the city of Stow, then, we need to look at that. So if you could look at that in the next couple of weeks before we
Sure.
come to this meeting.
Sure, we will check with the Ohio Schools Council as to who the bidders were.
See if J&J was in there.
Yes, and if they were, obviously, they were not the lowest, most responsible bid.
Fine.
And sometimes what happens because of the consortium, it's all about the demand. The bigger the demand, the less you have to pay, so.
You would assume we get a better price, but just to make
Yes.
sure through our due diligence with the city, I would think we want to look at it. Just
That
to make
was
sure.
the resolution that we had voted on too, so we didn't have to go for bids, to go through the council. Back in the beginning, there was a resolution that we voted to do that, to eliminate the outside.
That's correct. That's correct. And
Just want to make sure.
that
Take a look.
we will check that for you. And to move on, the roof that Jason is going to talk to you about is roof that Kurt presented, which is right outside here. It's a gravel material, and it has been problematic. And we will be presenting to ask for standard seam metal roof.
Yeah, what we're looking to do, currently we have a membrane system that's starting to fail, just barely, but it's basically hitting its life expectancy at the end of it. We have a tectum deck underneath most of the roof here, which is a great deck, but when trying to attach other roof systems to it, it can get tricky. So Kurt right now is looking into a couple different options before we end up trying to move this to bid, as to whether or not we can attach it with an adhesive, or if we actually have to do penetrations into the current decking to attach it, which could increase the price. What we're looking at is either doing a standing seam metal roof, which is going to last a very long time. They provide very good performance. They also make a standing seam membrane roof, which is very similar in appearance and everything, and offers pretty much the same type of performance. The only difference is which one will attach easier and how it works. Currently, we divided up if you look at the high school from Graham Road, you'll see two decks, one above the first floor, one above the second floor classrooms. We're able to kind of look at what our basic costs were going to be at per square foot. We got a rough estimate, so we looked at future dollars and current dollars and permanent improvement accounts, and we were able to devise a plan that would separate it. We divided it into three different phases. First phase of which being from the Memorial Garden all the way down to the end of the building on the upper deck. And that would be phase one. Phase two would be from the Memorial Garden down through the new addition on the upper deck. And phase three would be the entire lower deck, which contains, and each phase basically contains roughly the same amount of square footage to try to keep it as even as possible. We're hoping to have those figures pretty soon as to whether or not we'll be able to just attach it using an adhesive instead of having to do a penetration or not. He's waiting to hear back from both manufacturers, see what they suggest and what has worked in the past. As soon as we get that news, we should be able to put together a good bid package and hopefully have some numbers to present by the 28th.
Are there any questions about this? Okay, the scheduled dates, just to make sure the public's aware of the scheduled dates for the project are, we did advertise yesterday, June 10th. We will do a second advertisement, June 17th, for a pre-bid conference to be held at the high school, June 18th. The bid opening is set for June 25th. And now, since the June 29th meeting has been canceled and rescheduled for the 28th at 6 p.m., we plan on awarding the bid at that meeting on the 28th. July 16th is our approximate start date, always as weather is permitting, and we look for project completion to be August 23rd. So by the end of the summer, we should have the first phase of 3 done, and this will be complete after 3 years.
We depend on mild winter for the funding that we
Yes.
have to begin this.
And this is permanent improvement funding as well.
That's what that was my question.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Jason.
Are there any comments or questions regarding the upcoming meeting on the 28th? Okay, is there any old business? And new business? Under new business, we do have updated meal board policy for first reading. I'm sorry, and then textbook adoption for the first reading, which is AP Economics textbook adoption and a government textbook adoption. I'm sorry. Oh, sorry, page 2, you're right. AP Biology textbook, AP Psychology, and Biomedical Technology textbook. And is there a need for an executive session?
3 are electronic.
3 of the
Oh, okay.
textbooks are electronic.
Okay, and how would they be accessed? They would be able to be accessed at home and in the building?
Basically, we will be given web access, so students can basically log on wherever they are. We also have access to traditional textbooks as well. So if the student would prefer or doesn't have access, we can make that available.
Excellent, thank you.
What is the cost?
I don't have it in front of me, I'm sorry, but it was considerably less
Yeah, I
for the
would think.
electronic book. The other advantage is, with the electronic subscriptions or books, we pay for 6 years, which is about the life of a regular textbook, but there are free updates at all times with the web-based textbooks.
So instead of like $150 textbook over 3 years, we might pay like
$125.
I think that's a valid question. As we might want to look at.
Yeah, and I have that information, just don't have it with me.
Okay, thank you.
But the advantage is it can be updated constantly.
Absolutely.
Right, okay, thanks. I understand there is a need for an executive session to discuss a personnel matter. Okay, employment compensation personnel. Can I get a motion, please?
So moved. Second.
Moved by Mr. Spangler, and seconded by Mr. Bonacci. Roll call.
Mrs. Powers?
Aye.
Mr. Spangler?
Aye.
Mrs. Wright? Aye. Mr. Armstrong?
All right.
Mr. Bonacci?
And there won't be any action taken when we complete, except for adjournment. Thank you.